in Shir without the Mizug. The Rambam says, Chavivin, he says Chavivin at Moed, maybe.
It's a chavivin.
It's Chavivin, it's very dear to us. The mitzvah of Hanukkah, what's up is Hanukkah is more dear than the Chreis, than other big mitzvah. Shabbos, Mil, it doesn't say the word Chavivin, but what made the Rambam say this? So I would like to say the Pshat is like this. There are many Mephoshim to give Pshatim. The Bnei Yissaschar brings down from the Arizal that there are Keser Oisiyos in the Aseret Adivros, Kineged, the Taryag mitzvahs, and the 7 Rabbanans. And the last one is Hanukkah. That's the last mitzvah. As Rabbi the Gemara in Megillah zogt, Esther Soif Kolanisim, the last thing is Esther, Megillah Esther. Frek the Gemara of Ha'ika Hanukkah, Hanukkah came after, enter the Gemara, Megillah, Nit and Lakasev. The Gemara was saying the last one is part of the Apocrypha of the Tanakh is Esther, but the last thing of Nisim is Hanukkah. So you see, Hanukkah is Mashlim the Keser. That's the Lashon of Hashem say, because this Keser, crown of Hashem, Keser Ois is Nasheres Adivros, and the last Ois is the end of V'chol Hashem B'yachol. It says Leisachmaid Eises V'yachamoyer. What
do you mean this Keser Oises in the Aseret Adivros?
The 620 letters in the Aseret Adivros. Taryag plus the last 7 connected to Rabbanan. And what's the last Rabbanan? We just showed from the Hanukkah. So Hanukkah is connected, it's mashlim the Kesser, it's the 620th. So each ois in the Aseret Adivros is a mitzvah. Hanukkah is the end of the last ois in the Aseret Adivros. What's the last mitzvah? Lo Sachloi. You shouldn't be choimed your friend's wife or his shor, his chamor, his ever, v'chol shaloi. V'chol asher l'reyecho. End of chof. So you have to know what pshat is that and that is. I said pshat is like this. The first aveira that was done really was like Sachmoid. While the state pasuk, the Nachash got covered all to hits with the
Nachash, Chava, a lot of chafs, kesers.
Listen. Ki nechmat.
I know, chesbacha.
Ki nechmat ha'etz lamara. It's nechmat, that's chemda. She was choymed the eitz hadas. So Hanukkah, everything comes back to the way it was supposed to be mashal the kesser. Everything has to get back originally. So Hanukkah is connected the end of the nth degree of being the sakim leisachmoid. You hear what I'm saying?
Wow.
Okay, now in Hanukkah, the Jews who were bad boys, the Misyavnim were chaymed the tarbut, the culture of the Yavonim. The Yavonim were in a certain way chayim with certain things that happened to quality that Klal Yisrael had. A yachas with God, they couldn't stand it. Unfortunately, chayim is Migdalai, says the Chazal, they made a Gemara, they made Sholish Esrei Pirtzois, rippings in the shrug. What is the shrug? The shrug is in the Beis Hamikdash, a curtain which separates up until there Goyim were allowed to go, non-Jews even. But from then on, only Yidden could go.
To the Kodesh HaKadoshim.
Before the Kodesh HaKadoshim even. I don't know exactly before. So in other words, they couldn't stand it. They said, what do we chop liver? Our father also helped cover Noach up. Our father was Yefes. So what is this business? They couldn't stand it. They couldn't stand it. They wanted to get inside. So they were chayim with that. That's why this Yiddish saying, a yavon in sukkah around. There's a saying, something doesn't belong in here like a yavon in sukkah.
Right.
A yavon doesn't belong in sukkah. Why does it say yavon in sukkah? Because the yavonim at the time of Hanukkah, they were pushing into a mikdash where they weren't supposed to get. And the sukkah is connected to mikdash. A yavon in sukkah, they're trying to go where they don't belong. But you see that there was a chemda there. So there were 2 chemdas, and Hanukkah was a tikkun for the Yiddish Chemda from the Misyavnim, because the civil war, it was not just a revolutionary war against the Yavonim, it was also more even. It was a civil war against the Misyavnim. Jew against Jew, that's the ultimate aspect of Hanukkah. What's the riot to that? So you have a pasuk in Zechariah that both the Radzina Rebbe, the one with the Tchelas, and Rabbi Yankov, his grandson, Rabbi Yerucham, he was nifta around 50, 60 years ago. He was here in America, Rabbi Yerucham lineup, And Rabbi Yankov Kamenetsky both said the same thing. Pshat this posik. Orarta, there was
Ararta betumecha.
Orarta bonecha tzion al bonecha yavon. You are ma'oira, you arouse your sons of Tzion to defeat your sons of Yavon. So that was a prognostication for Zechariah that there was going to be Hanukkah. So the question what's the obvious question here? Bonecha Tzion, we're God's chosen children.
Right.
Thank you. But Bonecha Yavon, what's a Bonecha Yavon? The people who did such gezeres that they didn't let Chodesh, Shabbos, Milah, and everything else, you saying Bonecha? And for the Radzina, Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky, Bonecha hamisnahagim ki Yevonim. They were Yidden, but they acted like Yevon. They were called the Misyavnim. Okay, so what is this? How you telling us that the real Nitzachon of Chanukah, Kavi Chutz, we say we beat the same Greeks, blah, 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 but really, there's a passage to say we had to have a civil war with our fellow Jews who were Misyavna. It's a passage to tell this to the whole Oidem, the Presuming Nisa. You understand?
So it's about how you act and identify.
No, so I'm saying, so it's like, there's a word in Latin, it's sotto voce, like stille hate. Quietly, we recognize really that it's connected the Misyavna, but we don't say.
Was it an actual war with weapons, or was it an ideological war?
Both.
It was a shtickle of both. What's the raya? The famous story they told you in kindergarten. Matis Yohu and his sons were in a town, maybe they were Moedian, and the local satrap, the local hegemon came with the Syrian Greek only, and he said, eat pig, eat this, eat that. And they refused. So then an old Misyavni said, I'll do it. So what did they do to him? They killed him, and then they killed the general that started the war, according to this story. So you see clear in that scenario
that it was both
against the Yevonim and the Misyavnim.
Good call.
And that's what we're celebrating.
These are fire terrorists.
So around 20 years ago.
You're giving us some good stuff, man.
So in 20 years, Baruch Hashem, so in 20 years ago, or more, when we had the shul, I used to buy the English Forward, which is a left-wing masculine. So a professor wrote an op-ed, and I saved the paper and I lost it. The professor said, what are we celebrating Hanukkah? Every Friday you celebrate Hanukkah. It's talking about the defeat of us Misyavna. It's crazy that we should celebrate it. Because he was a professor, so he knew a little more. The average guy thinks, the average Friday thinks, even a lot of from Eden, the Maccabees were like Olympians, they were very strong, and Hashem made them strong. That wasn't what it was all about. As a matter of fact, all the Maccabees died in the next few years. They all got killed. And the Syrian Greek garrison was still in Yerushalayim, opposite the Beis HaMikdash, after the Ness of Hanukkah. So we celebrate Chazra Avodah, and we go after the Haskalah that they started to be against the Greeks and against the Misyavnim, but the war lasted for many, many more years. And you know when the war ended, really, against the Syrian Greeks? Well, not the war, but you know when the servitude, so to speak, that they're under, it ended 52 years later, or something like that, when they called in the Romans. One of the kings, he called in the Romans to help kick out the Greeks. He called in the Goyish Romans. That started Golus Adam. We never had really a freedom after that. So now let's get into what Chavivin is. So Chavivin, the Torah,
he called in the
Romans.
When the Romans kicked out the Greeks.
Right, and then they started right away.
That's
Golus Romi started then. What do we accomplish? You understand? You're going to make an alliance with the Roman, with the Edomites.
It was the Jews, though, that were involved. They were the cause of that alliance?
Yes, this is a... They caused it. The Yidden caused it. So now listen to this. It's wholly beautiful like anything. So what's Chavivin? And the same Rambam, the Rambam says you should sell your clothes on your back. What's Pshat in that? Listen to a beautiful Pshat. I said this years ago, this is Holy of Holies. In Meron, how did they start the Hablok in Meron? Can you tell me what do they do? What happens? The first thing in Meron, what happens?
They pour a ton of oil on top of this gewaldige thing.
Yeah, but what else do they do? What do they do? The Rishon, the Einikel, Biana, he takes an expensive clothing, because that's what his Zayda, the Rishon, did. And he burns expensive clothing.
Wow.
So kommt the Chassam Sofer, and he says, it's Bal Tashkis. You take an expensive thing that costs hundreds of dollars, expensive material or clothing, and you burn it. Stop. He said, this is wacky, fantastic. So either the Shol Meshiv also asks this question or he answers this question. But whatever, but I'm answering the question. I'm probably not the original, but I thought of this myself. In the Bar Yochai song that Bezalel Levin sings on the YouTube, Bar Yochai,
Levushta.
he sings, Nasa Odom Nema Ba'avuroi. What does that mean? That the Kedai Shivshim B'Yochai is a Bechina of Odom Rishon Kodem Achet. What's a shtickle riot to that? How did he learn Torah? What did he tell
In the
you?
cave.
The ground.
Oh, where was he in the cave?
In the water.
He was
In the Mayim. In the mud.
No,
He's
in
in
the
the
bar.
dirt. In the bar, yeah.
Was he dressed?
No.
No, he wasn't dressed. He only put on his clothing to daven.
He was in the
So
mikvah,
you
Kilu.
see, he wasn't in a, he was in a dry bar. I don't know if it was water.
Yeah, it wasn't
but
water.
It wasn't water. It was a dry bar. But you see from there, this whole thing that is Torah, he was learning basically undressed, like other Marisha, kind of Achet.
Wow.
You see, Shem Bar Yochai was a Bar Yochai. So therefore, when we burn clothing dafka by him,
Wow.
we're celebrating what Bar Yochai is and what Meron signifies. It signifies that a Yid can get back to a Bechin of Odom Rishon Kodim V'chet. So to show that, because the clothing was a punishment. Hashem had to make the clothing as a punishment. So he's freed that punishment.
Wow.
And so now let's go back to Hanukkah. Since Hanukkah is the last mitzvah, and it has to tie up all the loose ends. So one of the loose ends is that today we're sinners and we have to wear clothing and everything else.
And we burned the taiva
So
out.
therefore, okay, good, true. But therefore, when you sell the cloth of your back, so it's a certain bechina of not having you selling the shirt of your back. So it's an anti-ksus thing.
Wow.
So it means that all of us have a shaykhus now to this because it's the last mitzvah. It has to finish up all the loose ends.
I would eat that up. This quality bits. This quality.
Yeah.
That's quality.
Yeah. So this last thing I was machadish today, the last part of the ksus,
With Rashbi.
Hanukkah, Rashbi a long time ago. I have tapes of it.
The last thing was the kasus.
It's the last thing that by Hanukkah there's also a bechina, like by this. That's why the Rambam says you should sell the shirt of your back, and maybe it's a Gemara. That's how I was.
That if you gotta be brought,
What?
to peel away everything, the Vard is Einam Avada kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm saying we're getting rid of it. If you gotta go down to the bare minimum, in other
So
words.
here's the thing also. You have to be reminded that by Hanukkah, it says the Shechina never goes lemata de aseret tvach. Do you know this?
Right.
You know what that is? It's not that my flame should be not just right above the window because I measured it. 10 tvach was approximately 39 inches. So I used to take Molly's type measure, every year measure, just books just to get it right. So I'm yoytze the zach of lemata de aseret tvach. Why is that so important? Because it symbolizes that the Shechina a whole year round, he never goes lemata me'aseret tvachim. The only time he does it, not even by the holiest Yom Tovim, only by Hanukkah. That means he comes down to us. And that's a corollary, I believe, of Minoisa Kankanim, Nasa Nesla Sheshanim. What does that mean, Minoisa Kankanim? That the Yid can be up Geshvach. All the Yidden can be up Geshvach.
Commercial break in 1 minute.
The whole door.
Commercial break in 1 minute.
No, okay.
In 1 minute.
All the Yidden could be to brochen, or individual Yidden. And Minoisa Kankanim, even if you have a drop of lachlukas, a teeniest drop, Nasa Nesla Sheshanim, you can flour. That's how Hashem is telling us. I'm always with you.
The leftover of the
The
kankanim.
Yidden has
Wow.
the little drops.
Wow.
That's why the Chedusha Rim says you should be Mecham B'Shmoneh Mogen Avraham. What is Mogen Avraham? That inside us there's an Avraham quotient. No matter the guy's a Avarian, he does Arayas, he does who knows what. There's one little shtick inside in that Noisa Kankanim that could be mislahad, that could be become.
Wow.
You should be Mecham this 3 times a day. By Mogen, Hashem preserves Avraham. The Avraham inside is that piece. This is Moed, it's Simsach, to be Mecham. So I want to just say here, so what was I telling you? So the corollary is Hashem comes down all the way to Lamata because the people are nicer kankanim. They're mamish yidrei.
Wow.
So Hashem comes down to us. When we light them and know, we realize this. We get so optimistic. A cheshik of love HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Because we nicer kankanim and that's Sheshanim. So that's what we should be concentrating on now during the menorah. Hashem, no matter how low we are, how many babies we did, Hanukkah, Chavidin, And Hashem should come down and we should meet with him and he should bring us up, he should elevate us. Hashem.
Right.
Another thing, another raya of what I'm telling you. It says in the pasuk in Bereshis, "Vayavdel elikim bein ha'or u'bein ha'choshech." So you need to watch it says Chazal. Roya Kodesh Baruch Hu she'en kedai that the people should have the or, the supernal, the heavenly or. It was a different kind of or that Hashem first made, but it wasn't good for the tzaddikim, for the rishoyim. So he took it and he was mavdil. He put it away la'otzid lavoi in the world to come for the tzaddikim. Says the Rekeach.
The Aragonis.
Ne'esaska brings down the Aragonis. The Rekeach the Ne'esaska brings down the Rekeach. And he says the Rekeach at Gilui Eliyot. That's what he said in the Rekeach. The Rekeach says the famous thing, the Aragonis. So this has a me'end.
Rekeach says that he experienced the Kilu.
What?
Rekeach says that himself. That
I'm sure he did.
He experienced Eliyahu Navi. He probably experienced Aragonis. And other tzaddikim also experience it. They experience it. So I'm just saying. So when is the Aragonis from? It's from Fichet days. To have an Aragonis by us today, Hashem is vayavdel it. So when Hashem comes down, the mountain of Tzvachim, I'm so to say poetically, he brings a shtickle chelik of the Aragonis that even schwachs the Yid, a shtickle shaychus, you understand, to enlighten, to illuminate him.